Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Zoo. The minions joining me tonight, or at least the two that are on right now, are Useless.
Hello, how goes it?
Adam.
Hi.
Traveling Exhibit, JenTMaxi.
Hello.
And of course, I'm the keeper for the night, Sanguine, and right after I did the introduction, we also are being joined by ChaosEve. How are all of you doing tonight?
Oh no.
Alive and kicking.
Yay.
I mean, if you want me to leave, Adam, I can leave. It's fine.
Always better than the alternative, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Useless. And no, don't leave.
That would make me sad too.
Yes, please don't. I just feel like we have to keep up this this hoopla.
Charade.
You know, yeah.
Keep up the banter.
You know I love you. You know I love you, doll.
Do I?
I hope
Yeah.
so.
Let's get strong.
There'll always be the night in Milwaukee.
You make that sound dirty.
Yeah,
I thought you said you wanted to stay too gay. You know?
Gay?
Well, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing gay about drinking people under a table.
I was gonna say, like,
That's why I did not attempt.
me sleeping in the bathtub isn't really something that so I don't know why you guys went to the sexual route, but yeah, no, that's what happened. Is Adam got too drunk and fell asleep in the bathtub.
Sleeping in the bathtub with a pocket full of bread. Don't forget that
Yeah.
second part.
Well, yeah, well, I was ready for an adventure.
With the hangover bread?
Sounds like a
I
bad
was
pop
like- I
song.
was like,
Pocket full
shit.
of bread. I got a pocket full of bread.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a pocket full of hangover loaf or lambus loaf, as it's also known.
I was
To
ready.
be fair, if I was drunk, I would probably I would, even with not being drunk, I would have a pocket full of that shit. It was delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be thinking, did somebody convince you have ducks in your bathtub or something? Like, were you gonna go feed them?
Well, no, I figured it was a spot to
You
sleep
need
in.
to be stopped, Jen.
Well, first of all, bread's bad for
Where
ducks.
where did ducks come from?
Good
Well,
bread
you,
in your pocket.
you went to go to the bathtub with a pocket full of bread. I'm like, what's the purpose of the bread? Are you gonna go feed something in your bathtub? I don't know.
No, in case you get hungry.
It's lamb's bread.
Duh.
No.
It's hangover bread.
You don't know the context. This bread is elven bread, right? You can eat a little bit of
Pretty
it.
damn close. Like, as close as mortals can get.
It's
So-
elven bread made by a giant dwarf. Okay.
It'll
So, Jen,
Yeah.
have you heard about
Figure that out.
hangover loaf in full?
No, I have not. I'm
So-
now curious about this elven bread.
Hangover loaf, also known as lambus loaf, is a bread of my own creation. It is an insanely dense, amazing loaf of white bread, handmade, that in a standard 1 pound loaf size loaf of bread, without anything else, it would still be over a pound. Even though it's deliciously light and fluffy on the inside, something weird happens. It's goddamn alchemy when I bake bread, because it remains light and fluffy and amazing on the inside. It weighs like 1.5 times the amount that it should normally. But then in this particular bread, in that 1 pound loaf size of bread, there is also over a pound of smoked bacon and over a pound of smoked cheddar cheese worked throughout the entire bread. So as you eat it, it's like eating a breakfast sandwich in every single slice of bread, because you get this smoky, crispy, amazing bit of bacon with this just creamy, delicious smoked cheddar cheese and this delightful, fluffy, buttery bread around it.
And just toast it up and put some Vegemite on it, you know.
Whoa. Hold on. First off, I will say, the
Ryan.
loaf that Sanguine left in the last 4th of July,
Mm-hmm.
dude, I sliced that up and I cut it up into quarters, and that was my breakfast for every morning. I mean, it was filling, you know, like
Mhm.
all you had to do was just eat a quarter of it, a quarter of a slice, and
I
you're
feel
good.
like you're
You're good to
talking
go.
about a focaccia a little bit.
What's
No,
the-
because
well,
it is.
hold on. But I gotta go. What Cookie said over there? Wait, what'd you say over there?
Focaccia?
No, useless cook.
You gotta put Vegemite on after it's, you know.
Oh yeah, that was. What the hell? Why would you Vegemite?
Yeah, for Terry, you know.
Vegemite.
Oh my goodness!
You gotta
It's-
do shredding every now and then.
Don't start because then we're gonna like summon a Terry or something. You know, we don't need any of that.
Oh,
It isn't
But
at
yes,
all.
What's wrong with terriers? Come here, Happy. Come here.
no, I love chatting with Terry.
Come here. You said terriers.
You're gonna
No,
need
I-
some
I
better.
said
Or did you say Terry?
you're,
I said Terry.
you're gonna need some better like gassing jokes if you're gonna call up Terry from out of nowhere.
I was gonna say I was gonna hold. If you said terriers, I was gonna hold up Happy and say that to her face.
Oh wait, you got a terrier?
Yeah,
I have 2 terriers. Come here, girls. You want a treat?
gotta
You
bribe
want a
them.
treat? Come here. Bring your little fat asses over here, you little lazy ass bitches.
I mean, they were just standing there a few minutes ago, like, "Hey, what's mommy doing?"
Well, I wasn't paying. I was looking at something else.
And then when I need them over here, they decide they don't want to be here.
Well,
Yeah.
they're camera shy.
The puppies get so lazy that they aren't willing to get up to have a
Come on.
treat.
They
Yeah.
got them now. There they are. Hi, how you doing? Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Come here.
They're like, "Oh, that wasn't just sounds; that was smells too."
There's a Happy. And here comes a Lucy.
Oh, look at that face. See, I love that mustache.
They're little terriers. They're my sweet babies. They're my little fuzzy children. They're wanting those treats really bad right now. Happy, get out.
But yeah,
I like me terriers and schnauzers, personally. But yeah, no, you got some cute dogs there.
see, for me, I am a big breed lover when it comes to dogs. So I have 3 dogs that remain consistent that I want to get at some point in my life, and a 4th that keeps on swapping between 2 different breeds. I want to get an Irish Wolfhound, because fuck yeah, Irish Wolfhounds. An English Bull Mastiff. An English Bulldog. And then the last one keeps on swapping between a Caucasian Shepherd and a Tibetan Mastiff.
Whoa, dude, you gotta be a little bit more diverse in there.
I like
Been
all
looking at
dogs. It's not
big
really a size
Caucasian.
thing. I mean, I appreciate big ones because they're like big
Yeah, I
teddy
wasn't
bears,
looking at
and I appreciate little dogs because you can pick them up when they're kind of being little shits. But yeah,
Oh, I can pick up the big dogs when they're being little shits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. I do that, and I hurt a lot later.
Yeah, I can't. Nope. I won't lie. I've only seen one giant schnauzer in real life, and as much as I would like to have one, I still did. I'm not really tall. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But in terms of dogs, I think it's more of like a personality type of thing. Like a golden retriever has a personality that a dachshund doesn't have, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of look at that type of stuff, and like you said, English bulldog. Yeah, dude, I'd love to have one of those guys. I like Chihuahuas, but as long as they're like chill and not like I've only
So you
known
like
one.
Chihuahuas as long as they aren't the standard Chihuahua made of
Yes,
tremble and hate.
and the only Chihuahua, at least I think it's a Chihuahua, is my niece's dog, her Luna.
Mm-hmm.
That I've posted pictures in the Discord. So for the folks who follow the Mini of the Zoo, is also, I guess this is a good time to say, hey, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe and that bell and blah blah blah.
You know, since I've
And
been volunteering at the animal shelter, I noticed a lot of people have their pets' names as Luna.
Yeah.
hey, I didn't name the dog. I just like I'm not gonna lie, I like snuggling with the dog. She's like a little stuffed animal.
It's okay.
It
You
doesn't
can
take a lot
both
of-
blame Sailor Moon. I do
Yeah.
too.
Is
Oh,
Fuck you,
ridiculously
Sailor
tiny.
Moon, and your stupid cats.
Luna
Oh,
is
yeah,
ridiculously
okay.
tiny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When I went
Kidding, by
to
the way.
Adams for the 4th of July last year,
Yeah, she's small.
yeah, she was tiny. She's just a little bit bigger than my hand.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of, aren't you adorable? I have to be careful I don't look at you too quickly or else I'll end up snapping your spine, but you're adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to. You can't really like. You got to be gentle with, like, yeah, she is. But I think that's also why I like her, because she reminds me of like a little squirrel or something like that. You know. I don't want a squirrel pet. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
dad
I-
rescued a baby squirrel once and followed him around.
I
Wait,
wasn't
what?
sure what I said
Yeah.
about cats.
Well,
I was
my
going
dad-
to say stuff about cats, though.
Oh, also, my dad rescued a baby squirrel, and he trained it so it. One time it got chased by dogs and ran my dad's leg when we released it up back to the wild. You know, because he got used to them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's for protection after a while.
Yeah, after a certain point, you really shouldn't release them because at that point, they're kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he did slowly. He trained it up to climb trees by itself and come back. So.
He might have been fine too at the
Yeah.
same time. Like it's just one of those things where like when you train something to be a little bit more trusting than they should be, they end
Yeah.
up being more likely to be inclined to be dinner.
Yeah.
Yo, once you introduce a little bit of domestication to an animal, yeah, they probably are ruined.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, they don't fare as well in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the rarities. You'll get those YouTube videos or the Twitter videos. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
this
I don't
chipmunk
blame your
that-
dad for trying though.
Yeah.
No, why?
No, never. There's no shade in trying. Or shade in loving animals. Like I'm like
Hey,
that
no.
too. Every time I see something, I'm like, can I actually help you? I wish I could. I wish I knew how.
Hey, I'd love to have even just like a random bird
Mm.
that comes around, and I can give it like a little bit of food and be like, yeah, dude, and just chill with it.
Mhm.
That'd be awesome. But
Just put food
hey,
out. You might get one eventually.
that's what that. Well, hey, it's they're gonna do what they're gonna do. You
Just
don't have
don't
control
rice.
over it.
And I see Chaos and Assassin have started talking about my hands.
Oh.
He's the one who was like, Sanguine's hands, so the dog could be the size of a German Shepherd for all we know. And I was like, he does have really big hands. Really big hands.
Yeah, you see my videos.
This man could. Fuck. This man could crush a football with one hand. Like,
Yes,
I'll
I
remember
think we had the switch at the wrong end. It's supposed to be his hand is so big that it can fit a small dog, not a giant dog could fit in his hand.
I think this one's source videos.
Sorry.
Nothing. I think the donkey's going crazy in chat for some reason.
Donkey's
Holy
always
donkey.
crazy in chat. I mean,
Donkey is
yeah.
wait, hold on. Donkey's
No.
going crazy in chat.
Jen, he just started speaking your guys' language. Can you translate?
Yeah, whoa,
Translation, I'm sorry, I apologize for my prime minister always because at no point does he ever appear on screen where I'm not just like face palming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the translation. See, this is why it's important to keep other Canadians around when one of our Canadians is barely able to speak English and just constantly reverts back to Canadian.
Hey, when one of our Canucks start acting up, we got to have a Canuckistani translator on hand.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, and it fits in the palm of your hand. Like, oh, never mind.
Well,
Like a small dog.
I had two rather interesting moments last week. One moment where I was cheering on the Queen because I thought it was amazing that somebody gave her a sword and asked her to cut cake with it, and I was like, please, karate chop it. Because I think she wanted to. I honestly think she wanted to.
No, yeah, she was definitely like, fuck that.
Yeah, I wanted her to. I was like, listen, lady, if you do that, you will be my new granny hero for life. I won't. Betty White, who,
Hold on. I heard that they said that there's audio of her aide saying there's a knife over on the table, and she said, "Yes, I know. I got the sword though."
Yeah, she wanted to karate chop it. She screamed. I want to do some mischief on TV, and I was like, "Please, somebody let her do it."
She wanted to have fun,
That's what made me happy. I want to see somebody just have fun and do something for a change,
I can never begrudge someone opting to cut a cake with a sword.
No, not at her age with that look on her face, like just pure, mischief. Like, no, I was all about that. But the other thing too was the realization that part of the reason my prime minister was at that meeting is because he's supposed to be talking to her about getting us a new general. What's that position? General something. Because our last one that he got in charge ended up being a kook, so he's supposed to be talking to her to get a new one. And I'm like, could you cut him a little bit with that sword, just a little bit? I mean, don't kill him. Just a little bit. Just tell him to piss off.
An accidental beheading during knighting?
Yeah, Nah, she can't do that. That would be murder. Regardless of how she feels, I don't think she should murder someone. But just like,
Is it really murder? I mean, it's Trudeau. That seems more like a mercy kill.
Hey, isn't that what they did in King Ralph, where John Goodman went to knight somebody and he cut the other dude's ear?
I think so, yeah.
Let's do that.
I mean, you talk about a nigga getting his ear cut off, and I'm like,
and now I knight you. Oh,
did they do that in a movie? In a comedy movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
That's
Doc,
what...
it's not that Harris is preferable to Biden. It's that Harris can still talk and know where she is.
Well,
no,
she's not at the border. Because let's be aware, she's not at the border.
yeah.
She does have a right witch's cackle, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Every time that she laughs, it's just like, oh God, what the fuck? You aren't supposed to laugh like you're evil.
You don't want to make it a temple there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still supposed to present an image of mystery and yeah.
Not anymore.
No, this lady, she's already gone from that.
It'd be like
there's no mystery.
Yeah, it would be like if rather than doing my normal jovial laugh every time, I went for just my purest malevolent laugh every time that I was doing something, and then I was trying to convince someone to do something, and at the end just
God, that'd be amazing.
The evil laugh.
No one's going to trust me with that.
Well, it's okay as long as you sell yourself as somebody who is misunderstood, and they just, they just were dealt the wrong deal of life, and unfortunately, this is the way they have to express. Oh no! What? No, I was talking about Cruella de Vil. What the hell?
Do you know why I think they made that movie? Because Emma Stone dressed up as Cruella de Vil, and they were like, "Hey, you look kind of sexy as Cruella de Vil. Let's make a movie about it." And then
Wait,
realized
Cruella?
that there was no actual plot to it. I'm like,
No,
no
wait.
shade to you, Emma. You do look like an amazingly hot. You do.
Hold
You're
on.
an absolutely beautiful woman dressed up as Cruella de Vil. But the movie is not the Joker. Stop making every new movie that you're trying to push out be like the Joker, because you hated the Joker. You told everybody about how you hated the Joker.
And just the fact that so many people are coming out from that movie and going, well, is Cruella really that evil? I mean,
Well-
she had a traumatic past. She was trying to capture, kill, and skin one of her friend's dogs. What the fuck do you mean, was she really that evil? How many friends do you have that are trying to skin your pet?
Bro, hold on.
Well,
dude.
Mr. Asian,
it makes
you know.
sense. It makes sense now. If
So
she inherited the Dalmatians that killed her mother. Oh, wait, spoiler. Sorry.
Jesus.
Wow. Plot twist.
Yeah, there's Dalmatians that kill Corella's moms. But if those dogs then gave puppies, and then Corella gave them to some randos, and then those dogs made puppies, and then those puppies fucked, and then you smoked that weed. Wait, no, that's Pineapple Express.
God damn it.
Wait, no. But then Cruella de Vil wants to skin those puppies. Dude, this is a crazy ass fucking
It's absolutely
Villain
insane story. And the fact that people are treating like, see, she was just misunderstood.
No,
She's
she
still
has a
trying to
long-term
skin
plan.
dogs.
That's why, dude, and I wouldn't be surprised.
That's like saying that Joker was just misunderstood. He only killed, what, a few dozen people. It's fine. You know,
Well,
he
they-
was just misunderstood.
Well, they think
but
that
you can't have
makes
that.
it justifiable for your actions. You're, excusable.
But that's
Is
the
that
thing
shit-
to me, is there's a difference between to me, there's people act like it's got to be one or the other. Either you have to justify all of their actions and say that they were completely justified in what they did because of what they went through, or that there can be no understanding and you have to completely and utterly hate them. You can't understand, hey, I understand how you reached this point and how we can help others in the future not reach this point, but you still need to be held accountable for the things that you did.
Yeah.
That's something that is constantly a problem in modern society, that people are trying to go, well, they're only committing crime because of X, Y, and Z. No, that contributed to them being more interested in committing a crime. But the reason why they committed a crime was they went, should I commit this crime? Yeah, I think I should commit this crime. And then they did it.
Yeah.
I kind of blame superheroes.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I can't blame superheroes because they have in some storylines, the criminals like, I'll try my buddies and you let me go, so they, let them go. They, no, you're still doing something good, but you still did bad. You still get punished for it. So you see that a lot in these TV shows, though.
Let me just say one last thing about in terms of the Corellas. If we're looking at the timeline distribution of the character arc, I guess you would say, it kind of is odd that it fits right into the depiction of her in the original animation, where she's Degaunt. That's the word, right? Degaunt or Gaunt, or like skeletal, like she's
Gaunt.
Yeah, she's lost everything because she's so devoted to getting revenge on these, again, the successors of the people who murdered her mother. But again, it's just like, it's weird to think. I don't think they had any of these intentions. I think all of this is just, haha, fit perfectly, because it's modern Disney, right? But I mean, even past
Well-
Disney, it was on a shoestring. But
Well, it's like
this-
everyone's doing this right now. Like everyone seems
Yeah.
to be on this theme of let's just destroy old IPs or make excuses for why our IPs are shitty people, or why they should be allowed to be shitty people. Like why they should be forgiven for being shitty people. It's like no. I understand sympathy for them for why they led up to that.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
sucks your mom died from the Dalmatians, but doesn't mean you have to fucking skin her daughter. Like, this is weird.
And make him into a coat. You know?
This is fucked up. And you can see her degeneration into that because, obviously Emma Stone is not Cruella de Vil from the animation cartoon. Like that, but not the same. But you can see that it's obviously, and hey, you know what? Maybe that's the take. But does that mean that I had to duct tape the connections to be able to get from the animated classic? Obviously, it's a goofy cartoon. Two dogs have 15 puppies, and then they somehow get 101 puppies. I can't remember how. I think they just found.
It's because
puppies.
they kidnapped the 15 puppies, and when they kidnapped the 15 puppies, she'd already kidnapped 85 dogs.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So this
they
piano
end up
player
with
and
100 dogs is what basically happens.
they steal a bunch
She
of
need
puppies.
100 dogs to make a coat.
But then there's this deranged fucking emancipated fucking looking lady smoking cigarettes.
With a giant ass car.
Yeah, with a giant ass car with
Who truly
two
doesn't have a
goofy
theme
ass
revolving
fucking-
around her hair the entire time.
right? And then that's what they go with. Hey, yeah. Look, I just spent how long goofing on Cruella de Vil and 101 Dalmatians.
You're
That was
not.
probably more. Hold on, that was probably more entertaining. And I hate
The whole movie?
self-aggressive. Yes, but more entertaining than the fucking movie. Get the fuck out of here. There you go, camel clutch, jabroni.
You're not the only one. I've been doing that for the He-Man thing that came out recently.
Don't get
too.
me started. Oh,
I'm so
Hold on.
mad. I'm so mad because it looks so good. It looks so good. It looks like something that people have been waiting for years for. And yeah, I am a child of that generation. I do remember watching He-Man, and I do remember watching She-Ra, and I remember watching what they did to She-Ra and just being like, you have no idea what my childhood was about, do you?
Mm-hmm. It's
None.
kind of like I've said this before on stream. They keep on absolutely assassinating everyone in superhero stories.
Well, it's not just
Every
that.
character.
It's this assumption that I was forced to watch one or the other.
And
Like
they
that I couldn't see myself in He-Man.
So we talked
Okay.
about this a little bit earlier today on my show. Something very similar subject. We talked about the new Resident Evil Netflix show that they're coming out with, and how it has absolutely nothing to do with actual Resident Evil other than zombies and the names of some of the characters.
Yeah.
Because they
Wow.
cast a black man as a character, the Wesker. If anybody who played Resident Evil knows that Wesker is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy,
Aryan
white
Wet
guy
Dream.
who wears sunglasses all the time, like they're pretty much super glued to his fucking face, and who is been one of the masterminds behind a lot of the incidents that the games are based on, because he's running several different experiments and things like that. He started out as the leader of STARS, but he ended up getting perfected versions of the virus, injecting them into his own body, and gave himself superhuman powers.
Mm-hmm.
But they're painting him in this Netflix series as like this doting father who works for Umbrella as a scientist and things like that. And it's like, but that's not who he is at all.
Yeah.
And people
Okay.
are like, well, they cast him as a black man, and you're just racist if you don't like him. No, it's not that I have a problem with the casting. I think that actor could do a very good job of playing Wesker. The problem I have is that there's nothing about this character that is Wesker.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this that's Resident Evil.
They keep on completely missing what characters are. They've done it in pretty much every iteration of Superman or every live action iteration of Superman for the big screen since Reeves. Reeves was a good Superman because he was a great Clark Kent. And in the Reeves movies, they understood that Clark Kent's the character. Superman is his superhero persona, but Superman is Clark Kent. The fact that he's Kryptonian gives him his powers. Doesn't matter anything beyond that. The entire point of Superman was he was this just charming as fuck farm boy from two amazing parents that raised him right, instilled in him proper values. So he has the ability to do things, which he then feels compelled to do because he has the ability, and what's going on isn't right. He has the ability to stop it, so he's going to stop it. There was one episode of the animated series that really did an amazing job of this, where they really drummed in the fact that Clark Kent is the character, not Superman. Clark Kent. His superpowers are beside the point, almost. They allow him to do things. They aren't the focus of it. Because in one episode, he had found out that someone was wrongly accused and was on death row. And he decided that he wanted this to be a win for Clark Kent. So he went about finding all of the evidence to prove that the man had been falsely arrested and was on death row so that he could clear this man. And as he's going about this, the guy who is actually responsible for the crime that the man was convicted of finds out and comes up with a way of killing Clark Kent. So what he does is he disables Clark Kent's brakes as he's driving around this twisting path near the water. He goes off the road, car goes into the water, and this man was watching. And Superman realizes this, Clark Kent realizes this. He is able to get away, but he can't just surface because then the guy who's trying to kill him would just continue trying to kill him. He ends up getting away, and he calls his parents because he doesn't know how the fuck to handle the situation. Because he was going to do this thing, and now if he shows up, there's a chance that this person might realize that he's Superman. And his alternate identity is completely blown out of the water. So he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what the right thing to do is. So he goes to a phone and he calls the most moral and good people that he can think of. He calls Ma and Pa Kent. And they talk to him. They talk to him through this situation. And the last thing that I think it was Ma Kent ends up saying to him was, listen, there's a man who's going to die if you don't clear his name. You can figure out everything else that you need to do after that. There's a man who needs you to save him. It doesn't matter if this exposes that Superman is Clark Kent. It doesn't matter if you have to assume a different name. You're always going to be Clark Kent. Save this man. You know it's the right thing, Clark. Yeah. And he ends up clearing the guy's name.
Because she knew he wouldn't be able to live with himself if he didn't do everything he could.
Exactly. And that was the heart of the Superman character. That's been the heart in the animated series, in the various animated movies. They still hit that note to this day. And in the comics, it was always, what if a just country-born, salt of the earth dude had superpowers, and he's from another world? That was just to give him some additional villains and to give an explanation for how he ended up with these powers. Yeah. But it all came down to he was Clark Kent. He was the son of Ma and Pa Kent. He was not Jor-El's son, other than by birth. These two people were his parents.
May I interject?
No,
Right quick?
Absolutely.
And I'll keep it short.
I'm just teasing Adam. Go ahead.
I just this this take is exactly what I agree with.
Mhm.
And it kind of just like pit on me like, yeah, when you see Superman, you don't that's what you go with, like that's what makes Superman Superman. But the it seems that it's going from that to like an instant recognition of what the character is, and as opposed to what like the core values are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of odd that's where they're trying to pivot towards.
I know the
It's-
people who complain the most about stereotypes really just want you to live with stereotypes.
Yeah, it's gone from who he was to what he is. And
Well, I would have
Yep.
to disagree with you, because if what he was original, then he'd be from Saskatchewan and not Kansas, and that would confuse the shit out of
Whoa.
like most
the-
Americans.
Get out of here with your Canucky.
what he is Superman is an alien from another world. And that's where they're putting all the focus. He's an alien. He's an outsider. No, he's a boy from Kansas. He's a farm boy. That's who he is. The fact that he has superpowers is not what gives him character. And they keep on fucking up what the character for various things are. And they do this time and again. And it's not just, oh, you cast someone who looks different than my mental picture. No, that isn't the matter. Because I've said this, I think it was last week on Friday I said this, and I'm going to say it again. An absolutely terrible movie that had an amazing depiction of a character was Daredevil, fucking god-awful movie. But Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin.
Exactly. Because the point wasn't his skin color, it was the fact that Michael Clark Duncan sold that part.
Yeah.
He convinced you he was the kingpin of crime, that
He
he
was
was
the
the
kingpin.
god of New York.
Yep, because the important parts of Kingpin, the most
God rest his soul.
important parts were he had to be unbelievably physically imposing. He had to be a big motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
He had to be able to be believable as intelligent and conniving.
Well, that's how even they depict him like that in Spider-Verse, where he was like just like a giant circle with a head towards the top,
Yeah, he's always been this massive dude in every depiction. And the only other thing that people probably would have gotten pissed if they had changed was people would have been more pissed if he had hair. Because, no, Kingpin has to be a complete cue ball.
Yeah.
And there's characters that their skin tone doesn't fucking matter. There's characters that the skin tone does. So, for instance, Idris Elba is a fantastic actor. I am not shitting on Idris Elba. He is a fantastic actor. Luther, if you guys haven't seen it and you like dark cop dramas, Luther is a fantastic show, and it's fantastic because of Idris Elba. He is very fucking intense. But the gunslinger can't be black. Because if you've read The Dark Tower, the gunslinger, one of his main interactions with one of the other characters is her constantly saying that she can't trust him because he's a fucking honky.
Yeah.
And just going after him because he's a fucking white dude and she hates all fucking white dudes and she has a reason in character to be distrustful of white people. So if you suddenly have him as a black man and you don't swap that character as well, how the fuck does that work now?
Well, I mean, it's okay because doesn't Idris Elba knocked out of a acting role because he wasn't black enough?
Oh, someone tried to claim that because he was English black and not American black.
Oh, right. We got their own style of flavors.
Yep.
Apparently.
With that look that Chaos just gave. Chaos, had you heard about the Black Student Union that had issued an absolutely scathing letter of demand to their university a while ago? They had a marked upswing in the number of black students being admitted to the university. And they wrote this letter saying that the wrong sorts of black students were being accepted to the university because the school had accepted a massive number of African blacks, and that was clearly the school being racist against blacks because they weren't accepting American blacks at anywhere near the same rate as they were accepting of African blacks. I take it you hadn't heard about that yet.
No.
Yeah.
That moment of stunned silence where we process that.
Yep. Yeah, they had this entire article about how it was racist that the school was not accepting a higher percent of African Americans. It was accepting way too many Africans, and it was doing so that it could have the veneer of being equal without actually being equal.
Well, plus they could charge more for people out of country and state, so you know.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was that the blacks, the students from Africa, the black students from Africa were achieving higher scores and had a more competitive admissions packet than a lot of the American black students that they were receiving.
Maybe it has something to do with culture, you know?
Yeah. It's amazing that when you have, like, the Nigerians, have any of you worked with any Nigerians in healthcare? By any chance?
Not in healthcare.
So Nigerians have two fields that they're almost conquering when it comes to their numbers in the US, and that's in healthcare and in petrochemicals, if I remember correctly. Because in Nigeria, they have a massive push to get people that are petro engineers and a massive push to get people that go into medcare. So when they come to the United States, they've been pushed towards these professions. They've excelled in those professions. They come to the US and they continue working those professions. So when you look at their level of success versus a lot of other groups, they're doing remarkably well because they've gone towards that career path, and they encourage their children to go towards those career paths as well. So not only the first generation, but the second and the third and the fourth generation tend to also do remarkably well. But they aren't being considered black enough anymore because they're African black and not African American black. So clearly they're the wrong sort of black.
So what did they call this, right? The purity spiral?
Yeah, it's a purity spiral. And it is the most insane purity spiral to actually hear. When you have black people in the US saying that black people from Africa aren't really black. And I'm just going, how the Did you think through the words you just said?
Yep.
It is a classic example of this is why you don't cater to the whiners, because
Yep.
it will never be enough.
Yeah. It's a
Mhm.
showcase of problem with identity politics as a whole, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this ties back to what we were saying with the issue with Cruella, because they keep on trying to say that, well, they're forced to do certain things because of these conditions. Some of the conditions that they point out are actual problems. Some of them aren't. Some of them are problems that are kind of intra-culturally, and intra rather than inter. So intra means within the same, inter means between. So intra-culturally enforced. So for instance, the number of black students that excel academically isn't as high as certain other groups. That's mainly an intra-culturally enforced thing, because we know a large number of Armenians are not, a good number of Armenians, let's phrase it that way, are black. And how many of them have we heard say that they've been told that they sound white before? That they act white. And the reason that they're told that they sound white or they act white is because they actually gave a damn about their education.
Yeah.
That isn't white people telling them, man, you're really acting white doing well in math. That was other black people were telling them that they act white or sound white because they speak properly or they do well in school. That isn't something that the outside world is forcing on them. That's something that's being internally enforced, and it causes a lot of the issues. Because when you have a group that is not interested in education, not everyone in the group, this is a generality. This is a trend. Trends allow you to talk about a group of people. They don't allow you to talk about an individual person. That's something that people also need to bear in mind. When you talk about a trend of something, you can't just go, oh, this person's of that group, that means they do X. No, that does not work. That is not how you ever use that. That is not how you use stats. That's not how you use trends. It's not how you use anything of this variety.
But that's how science works, you know?
The individual is an individual, and they can vary.
It's kind of like taking in a bunch of information and then being able to suss it out to it's where it's supposed to go, you know. It's in terms of the language, I mean, you know, I guess you would say I'm Hispanic. You know, I'm brown. But
American
people
matters.
But when you hear me, you know, people don't like, hey, you don't have an accent or whatever.
Well,
but even worse is like, you know, when I was in the hospital rooms, and you know, you got the nurses, and they're like, "Oh, where are you from? America. Oh, where are your parents from? America. Oh, well, where are your grandparents from? America. Oh," it's like, dude, like, what the fuck are you trying to get at?
The question that people try to ask with that, but they don't ask the right question, because where you're from is not the right question.
No,
that's not what you're trying to figure out.
I
What's
know
your
what you're
nationality?
saying.
What's your
Yeah.
heritage?
And then at the same end, it's like, okay, so don't even get at me, because what do you know about the fucking heritage, you fucking human? Like, what the fuck? Like you're gonna sit there and try and ask me where I'm from, and then it's like, but you don't even know where you're from. So
And
what the hell are you trying to tell me?
And probably the easiest example of you can't just immediately assume that the trend holds true for an individual is the average height for a male in the US is about 5'9". Does that mean
come on, man? Why are you
that-
gonna do that?
Okay, let's be
Well-
real here. As the one character who's not from America, if I were to go to, say, the US and
We're
I was
characters
part
now.
of a parade of illegals, and I was like, "Hey, I'm also illegal." Do you know what? I would offend everybody.
Mhm.
Hey,
And-
and I'm tall too. You know, that's the average.
But yeah, the average height is 5'9". Does that mean that if you met me, Useless, and Adam, that you could assume that each of us is 5'9"?
Yeah, no, I'm not 5'9".
You can make a rough guess, but you
Look, I'm a Krillin. Let's just put that. I'm a Krillin.
so you're a short elf, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, wait, elf. What?
I am
I'll go with that.
definitely not 5'9" by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, he's a giant.
Yes, I'm a giant dwarf.
Yeah, he is.
He needs to weigh 8 feet tall, you know.
I'm willing to bet that Useless, are you 5'9" or are you above or below?
Above.
Okay, yeah. Most people are not 5'9". That's the average height.
Useless. You can't count your dick in that. You know.
Oh,
Good.
Sorry, you can't count your dick in your height.
well.
Sorry.
You can't contradict and you can't contradict. There you go.
I'm confused now.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Welcome to 2021.
Tranny saying she's confused, right?
Though there is one time that you can absolutely count your dick, and that's if you're on Mount Everest, you get a stiffy and you lay down so that your dick is now the highest thing on Earth. That's perfectly valid.
Wait, what?
I mean,
So
And
it's
Eve is shaking her head because you know that would be funny.
it'd be a whole movie worth, you know.
I
All
just
right,
had this
so-
image of you climbing that mountain with like the world's last like magazine soft cover porn, you know? Tie a little American flag to it too, you know?
It is now officially the highest point on Earth. Fuck you.
Or you do notice the handstand, you know.
See, I do that with the Canadian flag, but you realize it's just going to be fake because I'm going to have to use a fake strap on to accomplish the same.
Oh my god.
Then I'd go home and be like, see, she fits right in. Oh,
Choice of wording there. Choice of wording.
I know, right?
But yeah, there's a difference between the trend and individual. So you don't get to apply a trend to the individual. You have to actually judge the individual by the individual's state. And while, yes, there are things that we can do that will increase the likelihood of people committing crime and decrease the likelihood of people committing crime, when it comes down to it, the fault of the crime being committed is entirely on the person committing the crime.
Yeah. Well, I told you before.
You cut out really wonky there.
Oh, I was telling you, somebody on Twitter told me that the ideal individualism is cancer. You know, so they want collectivism because reasons I don't know why.
The problem is that as humans, we naturally do gravitate towards groups of like-minded individuals. We gravitate towards people who we create units and tribes, as it were, almost
Based
naturally.
on commonalities, yeah.
But the problem is we need to be careful about letting our tribalism isolate us from outside influences as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because we have our tribe, our family unit, our group of friends, our family, or whatever, doesn't mean that everything outside of that is bad.
Yep. And
That's the way they view that, is that my tribe is the best tribe and there is no other tribe. And it's like, no, calm down.
yeah, that's not true. And then also the thing that pisses me off is people need to realize that acknowledging a statistic does not acknowledge the cause of a statistic. So, for instance, you can acknowledge that the crime rate of this group versus that group, Group A is larger than Group B. That's not a problem. That isn't racist. That isn't sexist. That isn't anything. The problem comes in if you then say the reason why Group A commits more crime than Group B is because they're Group A. That's where you end up with the ist. That's where you end up with the actual problem. But in order to come up with a valid solution, you have to be able to acknowledge a problem. If you aren't willing to look at the rate of success, the rate of crime, the rate of this, the rate of that, then you can't actually come up with a solution to fix that problem. Because you aren't even acknowledging the problem. You need to know what stats mean. You need to know how to read them. And you need to know that just because that is a stat derived from a group does not mean that every individual in that group falls within that stat.
If it makes you guys feel better, you can blow Canada out of the water as being mildly better than you in terms of racism because, our natives were like, hey, government of Canada, we're going to shit all over that. And rightfully so, actually. But I dislike the manner in which they're going about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're still generalizing and they're still giving room for racists to continue with the generalization. I have no problems with them going after people who maybe stole children from their families and then put them into shitty schools where they promptly let them starve to death. I'm not a part of a society that is okay with child murder.
Yeah, and the way that you deal with those situations are anyone that is alive that was culpable.
Exactly.
Yeah, you go after them.
Exactly. And I get the church is a problem too. And I am mad at them. I'm like, you guys are the reason that you are having your own problems because you know that these people were a problem and you're hiding them. Mm-hmm. If you would stop hiding them, people would stop pointing fingers so much at you because they'd see you taking responsibility and being like, okay, listen, I know they're part of our group, but we don't approve of what they did. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. It would heal so many wounds and people could maybe start to move on because a lot of that community, they really have actually been suffering for a really long time. Yep. It is something that I do acknowledge. I wish that I could do more to help them. Like I try to look at who I'm voting for. I really do. But here's the thing. You vote for them and then they turn out to not, guess what? They're a politician. They don't give a shit. They just want money.
Yeah. And no one should ever feel guilt over something that they had no ability to stop. They had no ability to affect.
I was blessed to be a generation that grew up with my natives. They came into my schools too.
I will never feel guilty over something that was done before I was born. I won't feel guilty about something that was done by someone that looked maybe kind of sort of like me from halfway across the world while I was where I currently am. That I had no ability to influence that action. I had no ability to change the course of it. I bear no responsibility for it. I'm responsible for what I do, and I'm willing to say that if I see someone doing something fucked up and I take no action to stop them from doing something fucked up, yeah, you can blame me for failing to take action. But I will not take responsibility for anything I had no ability to stop.
And honestly, what action would they like us to take? Do they want us to take 250 white babies and put them in the same situation? Would that heal things? Because I don't think it would. But some of those people talk like that. That's what they want. They want to taste blood, and I'm just like, you are the reason we're never going to progress. And you're the
They
reason.
do. They just want blood. They are so angry. They have to take it out somewhere. It's one of the things I keep having some conversations with some of my friends about, like, you're too embedded in this. This is making you angry, and it happens on both sides of these arguments, is that this is making you angry because you're so immersed in it. You don't take time to pull yourself out of it and realize that none of this is reality. That the people who are down here arguing these things aren't necessarily the people, and some of them are, but they aren't necessarily the people running things, and they aren't necessarily making the world spin this way. And, you know, the people on the other side of it who are saying these things, and it's like you realize that what you're asking is completely unreasonable and is not ever going to get you anywhere. You're just spinning your wheels. But I think that's what you want to do, is spin your wheels and be angry and have a reason to be justifiably angry. Because if people give you what you want, it's not good enough. And it's not good enough, not because it isn't actually not good enough, but because you just need something else to be angry about.
And because if you ever admitted that it was good enough, then you have to stop. This is the
truth is, they're taking their own personal issues, their own self-hate and loathing and things that they deal with, and rather than turning that energy inward and trying to deal with their own shit, they're projecting it out to the world and blaming everyone else except for themselves.
And this is a problem that we have with a lot of different groups, where they will succeed in what they were originally started to do. And then after they've succeeded, after the battle has been lost and won and they are done and dusted, they find something more. Groups need to learn that if you start off with the intent to stop X, when X is stopped, your response should be, good job, everyone. Go back to life. And sure, you can have a couple people that stick around just as effectively the watchers. They just make sure that X doesn't start up again, and if it does, then they're the ones that sound the klaxon and let everyone know that X is happening again. It's time to start back up. But you should effectively become a skeleton crew, if even that. When it came to women's suffrage, people wanted women to have the right to vote. Fine and dandy. Once women's suffrage was passed, it should have been, they went, okay, so these 4 people are now going to be the ones that just make sure that if anything happens to threaten women's suffrage, then we get back together and we do what we did before. What we currently have is, okay, women's suffrage was important. They got women's suffrage. So what's our next thing? Oh, we're going to make sure that we get greater representation in the workforce. So they got greater representation in the workforce. We're going to make sure that we get equal pay. So they got equal pay. We're going to now be fighting against getting a equal payment based on work, and we're going to be fighting for equal payment just based on job title, regardless of amount of work done. And we're also going to throw in we want all the products, no matter how different they are. If there's a product that is even somewhat like a product that women get, that men also buy, we want them to have the same price. It doesn't matter if they have different chemical compositions. It doesn't matter if they're designed in different manners, one being more expensive than the other. We demand that they're the same price. No. You had a task, you complete the task, you fuck off. Done. That's how it should always be. And a lot of our problems are from these groups not doing that. The civil rights movement of the 1960s was massively important, and it did good work in the 1960s. The problem is that after they accomplished the things that they had set out to do, they found new things. And then when they accomplished those, they found new things. And when they accomplished those, they found new things. If you're constantly finding new things, you're constantly having to go for ever smaller and more ridiculous examples. And you're having to ignore what is actually happening in order to manufacture these examples.
Yes.
I would like to point out Sanguine is not saying that women's suffrage was a bad idea, nor is he saying women's equality in the workplace is a bad idea.
Well, Sanguine isn't ranting monkey, okay?
He is what he is saying is that, you know, while these things individually were good ideas, they should have been come to as ideas, not, well, we're looking for another problem.
Yep.
When these people in these situations, they get to the point where they started manufacturing stupid things like, well, you're not hiring the right kind of, you're not bringing the right kind of black people into our schools. What?
Yep. Yeah.
What?
It is perfectly fine saying that women should have the right to vote. Absolutely.
Mhm.
The way that it should have been done, in my opinion, is we had the right to vote was tied to certain responsibilities. And when women got the right to vote, they should have also had to shoulder the responsibilities that came with the right to vote. And if that had happened,
Selective service.
yep. When it came to women should be allowed to work whatever job in the workforce they want, there was a caveat to that originally. And that caveat was that they qualify for.
Mm-hmm.
Women should be able to work any job which they qualify for. Men should be able to work any job which they qualify for.
Yep.
And let's be real. Since that started, the doors for that has been opening so much.
Yep, and that's where the issue came in. That it went from women should be allowed to work any job that they want that they're qualified for,
Mm-hmm.
to they hacked off that second part of the sentiment. And it went from women should be able to work any job that they're qualified to, or for, to women should be able to work any job.
Which is unrealistic because even men don't have that.
Yeah, men don't have that. Women shouldn't be treated as if they have that, because the thing is that there's certain jobs certain people aren't fit for.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have any arms, you should not be allowed to try to become an EMT. Because as someone who was an EMT, if you don't have any arms, you can't do patient movements. You can't render proper care. You don't have fucking arms.
I mean, in all fairness, you probably couldn't find too much work without arms, but
Yep, there's certain
Yeah,
things
that's
that you could
unfortunate.
do. There's a lot of things that you can't. If you're qualified to do it, I'm more than happy to have you do it.
But
Yeah.
it's not just that, though. Like, them going about things the way that they do also slows down the progress of humanity. And the thing
Yep.
with humanity is we can see that there's a problem. We can see where tasks are more difficult to do than other tasks. And when we realize that that's a problem, we work on the technology so we can make it more available for other people. So, like, these people are being, instead of, like, looking at trying to improve the technology there so that they can get what they want, they just want to rush the line. And it's like, well, that's how you get a lot of people killed.
Yeah, and there's...
Well-
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna go ahead. You know, I was gonna take it in a different direction, but go ahead. Go ahead.
There's... Because for those who don't know, I'm pretty sure everyone does, I used to be an EMT.
Mm.
And this happened in EMS a lot. There's a way that you can get someone, because there were certain providers that I worked with, certain EMTs, certain paramedics, that were absolutely amazing EMTs and paramedics with everything except for patient movement. Because they had the knowledge, they had the skills, they had the ability to keep someone really calm if they're in a volatile emotional state, to provide the proper sorts of care and know what care is the most appropriate for situation. But if you had them and someone who was built like them sent out for a standard transport of someone who's, let's say, about average weight, so 180, 200 pounds, that sound decent to you guys?
Sure.
For a fully grown adult male, they wouldn't be able to lift that 180, 200 pound man. So the way that that should be handled is you don't send them to those sorts of calls, or you make sure that they are partnered with people that make up for those issues. So, for instance, I had a partner that was able to do fantastic patient care, not that strong. On the other hand, I could solo lift a 600-pound patient. Throw us on a call together. I can do patient care as well. I was good at it. She could do it. She was good at it. But when we had a heavy patient, I could move them, no problem. Everything's good to go. So there's requirements that can be somewhat flexible. There's requirements that are not at all flexible. And when you have a requirement that can be somewhat flexible, you have to then take that into account when you're deciding where and who with they work. Because if they are able to do everything except for lift this specific weight, then you make sure that the person that they're working with can lift more than that specific weight.
Yes.
You can balance it out. But what we're currently doing is, rather than deciding, okay, there's certain things that we have a little bit of wiggle room with that we can work around by staffing properly, they just go, okay, we're going to drop all of the standards. And we can drop all the standards, and that won't mean that we get less qualified people. No. We'll drop all the standards, and the quality that we have will stay exactly the same, because as everyone knows, you can change every factor in a situation, and the overall situation remains exactly the same, right?
Yes.
You can swap beef for chicken in any meal, and it'll taste exactly the same. No, it's retarded when you phrase it that way, and it's an example that everyone immediately realizes that a hamburger is not the same as a chicken patty.
It should be, though.
No, it shouldn't. If you're jonesing for a hamburger, you will not be sated by a chicken patty. If you're jonesing for a chicken patty, you will not be sated by a hamburger. They're different things. They have different uses. They have different characteristics. Know which characteristics you need and which characteristics you can fuck with. Because to do anything less, to put an EMT that is completely incapable of providing patient care, means that you've killed people.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question, though?
Go ahead.
Why do people put pickles on their chicken sandwich?
This is good.
It's good.
Yeah, it's the...
What? Wait, what?
Same with onions, you know.
Oh
It's
my god! Oh,
the tart and tang of the pickle plays nicely with the
I'm gonna have
flavor of the chicken.
This is
Wait, Adam,
an assault on
you
my
like-
personal personality.
Adam, do you like Chick-fil-A?
Hold on, no, like
You don't like
pickles.
Chick-fil-A?
Pickles on a chicken sandwich is weird.
Do you like
But
Chick-fil-A?
then you
though?
try, yeah, you know they got the good, the good stuff. But
You
honestly,
like
I've only
the
had one
fried
time.
chicken, right?
Nice
Nice and tasty, nice and juicy. Fried chicken.
It's satisfying.
So one of the main secrets in order to make Chick-fil-A chicken is they marinate in
Babies.
pickle juice.
Marinate them in babies and onions and pickles and juices and no,
Tears
get out of
of
here,
the
dude.
homosexual.
Part of the marinade for Chick-fil-A is pickle juice.
Honestly, I've had one sandwich from Chick-fil-A, so I can't really attest to that. So that's
You should
I've
have
only-
more Chick-fil-A.
I
Say
got their
again?
chicken nuggets. It's not really worth the price.
it was good.
Bite your
I'm not gonna lie. It was tasty.
Chick-fil-A is delicious.
There's
Yeah,
just
it's
not a lot of
expensive.
them around here, so I can't really. Like I like Jersey Mike's, but there's only like 2 of them around me. So,
See, the time I had Jersey Mike's, the bread was all stale, so I never went back.
Ah.
get out of here, was it?
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is that foods, especially chicken, responds really well to a note of acid to it.
Mm.
So it's common to have some sour ingredient when it comes to making chicken.
Well, hold on. So, what if I put? I got a chicken sandwich, and instead of pickles or onions, I put salt and vinegar chips.
Yeah, that works. That is a combination that is used. Another thing that is commonly done in order to make really flavorful fried chicken is cultured buttermilk. You marinate
soak
the
it.
chicken in cultured buttermilk. And cultured buttermilk has kind of that tangy, tart taste.
Well, you should explain to them there's 3 types of buttermilk. So I know.
Yes, so you have cultured buttermilk, which is
They like Shakespeare.
dairy that has, so think kind of like yogurt.
Yeah.
Yogurt is dairy that has had a bacteria introduced to it that creates that amazing kind of tangy, thick consistency of yogurt.
Yeah.
Buttermilk has a different bacteria administered to it that causes it to produce some lactic acid, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
And it causes it to go really creamy, a bit sour, but it's not
somewhat
off
sweet.
sour.
It's somewhat
Yeah,
sweet too.
It breaks down the sugars, produces an acid. So
Mhm.
by breaking down the sugars, it becomes a little bit sweeter. It gets that acidic note and just plays amazingly with marinating meat. You also have the most basic buttermilk, which is the buttermilk that you get when you make butter. And that buttermilk is when you... Adam, did you ever see my video on making butter from ages ago?
Wait, it took you ages to make, like, to
It didn't
churn
take
butter?
me ages, but I made butter.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I didn't see
One of
that.
my old videos. So you can make butter very easily. It just takes some time, and you don't even need any special equipment.
Hold on, I
because-
thought you can. There was an old thing, like when I was in high school,
Mhm.
back in the day, mama. And we would sit there and be like, "Hey, you got that creamer? If you keep shaking it, you'll turn it into butter."
So one of the easiest ways to make butter is you get a liquid tight container that is decently tall, decently wide. You put cream in it and you shake it like it owes you fucking money. Just savagely shake it around.
The baby won't
It'll-
stop crying. You know.
Go like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah. Where
And
you're looking at some dirty videos, you know.
so as you start shaking it, it'll start to go to almost like a whipped cream consistency at a certain point. This is with heavy cream. It has to be heavy whipping cream or double cream. Or there's one other type of cream in that same category. There's whipping cream, heavy whipping cream, double cream, and then there's one other.
Hold on. I gotta make this joke for Charles Barkley. You know, those heavyset women from San Antonio, those big ladies from San Antonio. They wait, was San Antonio or Houston? What was his joke? Ah, damn it!
Oh, I can't remember.
You already
which
messed
one
it up.
was.
But you know, one of those Texas states. You know, them big booty women.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, hey, maybe they like whips too. I only say that because they're trying to cancel good old Charles Barkley, and he said it best. You know what? I'm going to be over 60, and once I get there, you can kiss my ass.
Nice. But yeah, you keep on shaking it. It'll go to like a whipped cream thickness. And then you keep shaking it violently from that point. And eventually it'll start to separate. So you'll end up with a solid portion and then a really runny, pale white liquid. That pale white liquid is the buttermilk from making butter. That can be used for a number of different things as well.
They usually dry it out and make it for like a add to buttermilk mix, like pancakes and whatnot.
Yep. You can dry it out, use it in different ways. You can use it in baking certain things. That because there's some things that want cultured buttermilk, there's some that want just standard buttermilk. And then I always forget the third sort. Do you remember off the top of your head?
Yeah, they had acid to it.
Oh yeah, just the acid one. Okay.
Yeah.
So pickled buttermilk. Yeah.
And each of those has a good number of uses. All of them can be used to marinate chicken. I recommend cultured buttermilk for marinating, but you can use either of the other two, just they aren't quite as...
It also depends on the region, because some things are hard to find. A cultured buttermilk you can't find everywhere.
Yep. But the cultured buttermilk has the most complex, interesting flavor. And you can make amazing things with it. But if you want absolutely amazing fried chicken, get buttermilk, get a jar of pickles, get chicken thighs or your preferred cut of chicken, and then whatever seasonings you want to throw in. Use a decent glob of buttermilk, throw in a splash of pickle juice, throw in your seasoning, mix that all together until it's homogeneous, plunge your chicken into it, let it sit there for at least 24 hours. And if you like it spicy, rather than going for standard pickles, go for pickled jalapenos.
Now, hold on. Instead of pickles, can you use like something like lime?
You could do lime juice in that, and you'd end up with a limey chicken.
Whoa. Hey, dude.
Well, that said wine. Not lime.
Oh, wine?
Yeah.
Not whiny.
Did you say wine or lime?
Well, hold on. I don't know. Are we allowed to say that? Who knows? Who knows what this current tirade of...
The lobster backs can't do shit to us. We proved that in 1776.
Well, I mean, of course, you know, it's a bit more pale, so they probably wouldn't castrate you towards us. Castrate, that's an odd fucking choice. But
now you're thinking of the Berbers.
Yeah, well. But limey.
Yeah, you could add lime juice and use lime juice in that making. But like I said, using pickled juice, and pickle juice, I'm referring to just general pickle juice, not specifically pickled cucumbers. Because you could use the juice around pickled okra or pickled asparagus, pickled
it's mainly the vinegar you're after.
Again?
Mainly the vinegar. Or unless you want the kosher, you know.
You want the vinegar, some of the culture, and then also whatever seasonings are normally thrown in. Which is why, like I said, if you want kind of if you like the taste of jalapenos, then throw in a splash of pickled jalapeno juice. That shit will be delicious. And then you marinate the chicken in that for 24 hours. Pull it out, set up your penne station, penne it, fry that son of a bitch. Delicious.
See, I think I want to do this and then spit roast it and then eat it like I'm watching a medieval times fucking show.
Mm. Yeah, if you want that, then you have to make sure that you have a good spit, and then you'll need proper positioning for your heat source. So there's a couple different options that you can do. You can do a horizontal rotisserie or vertical rotisserie, or if you have a full-blown cooking fire, then what you can do is you can do a hang roast of chicken.
Don't forget, you have to just squire to rotate it for you.
Oh,
Well, no, if you were doing it proper medieval, then you would get, what are they called? Spindle dogs? They're an extinct breed now. There was a specific breed of dog that was actually used in order to turn roast.
I mean, I was talking about like medieval times, like the place you can go now.
Yeah.
So it's usually just like what are those little, what are they called, Turkish hens or whatever they're. I'd be happy if it was a little charred, because I like a little burnt meat. But yeah, as long as the yellow and red knight wins, we're good.
No, black and white all the way.
Whoa.
The first time I went, I was sitting in the black and white knights side, so.
Nice. I've never been one of those places before. They always look fun, though.
Yeah, they're
It
pretty
is.
fun. Yeah, they're so nice to go to.
Yeah. Want to hear something funny up here?
Oh God.
Go for it.
Since they're talking about vaccines in the chat a little bit, I was just gonna say they're kind of trying to encourage us up here by including a lottery. So if you get your vax and you can prove you got your vax, you can sign up for a lottery, and I guess they had like a huge amount of like prizes and stuff. So
Wow.
I was like, oh,
And-
okay.
Just so that people know what I mean when I say spindle dog, it's that you see this wheel up in the
Yeah.
top of the
Blue.
kitchen.
That's not real.
Yes, that is. They had a
What
specific
the
breed of
fuck?
dog.
Yeah.
They made a wheel. They bred a specific breed of dog. That the entire point of this breed of dog was you would get one, you'd stick it in this wheel. That wheel is connected by several other cogs, effectively, and chain. So as the dog runs in the wheel, it turns the axle. The axle then starts turning the cog at the end. That cog causes the chain or rope that's tied to it to start moving, which then turns a secondary cog at the top of the hearth, which then turns the tertiary cog on the rotisserie. So you would have this dog run in the wheel, turning the meat without you having to do it yourself.
Dude, that's one of those things where it's like you go over to your friend's house and they're like, yeah, dude, I got a Mercedes. And then you go to their friend's house and they're like, yeah, dude, I cooked my meat with a dog in a fucking wheel.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, the dog looks happy, at least,
And I got 3 other dogs that are ready to they're on standby just in case this dog doesn't fucking perform well. Doesn't rotisserize my meat properly. He's gone, and we got another dog. Oh, there you go.
But yeah, it was a very specific breed of dog that has died out since. But
Oh, for real?
That's too bad.
yeah, that specific breed is no longer in existence. It lasted through like the 1800s.
Ah, it ran out of life.
It was
Yeah.
an easy fix to a problem.
Yeah. Let's breed a dog that's small enough to fit in a wheel and have
And
it run in
honestly,
a wheel.
they had enough small dogs back then anyway. Like
Yep.
small dogs aren't new. They had them as rat catchers and
Yep,
you know
ratters.
yeah,
Rat
you'd
badger
have them on
catchers.
fields, anything like that where
Yeah.
But could they fit in Sanguine's hand?
Most of the ratters, probably.
Yeah.
Ratters are the tiny dogs.
I don't know. I
So-
think my Luna would probably die from a rat.
I don't know if it's
I think a
accurate or
rat
not.
would take my Luna.
I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I heard somebody told me that Chihuahua is bred for food.
Were they?
Drat.
I don't
Yes.
know.
I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I doubt it.
I think that's one of the things that's said about their
Really?
origin. And then there's terriers, like Eve's little puppies. Those are examples of ratters.
Oh.
As are dachshunds. Dachshunds are also ratters.
Yeah, they're little rat dogs.
They're still cute though.
I'm being glared at.
Yep.
Oh.
They heard you.
No, I'm being glared at because she's like, "You said my name, right? You're talking about me, right? You're gonna come pet me, right? Pet me, pet me, pet me."
Nice. But yeah, there's
Cats.
a whole bunch of breeds of dogs. There's one breed that if I had the ability to resurrect it tomorrow, I absolutely would. And Eve might be able to guess it, but she might not. Eve, do you have any guess? On the one type of dog that if I could resurrect tomorrow, I absolutely would.
No idea.
The Irish Warhound.
Oh, I was close. I knew it was Irish something. I was thinking Irish setter. No, but Irish setters are still a thing. So I don't know which like extinct dog, but Irish Warhound would make sense.
Yep. The Irish Warhound was the progenitor of the Irish Wolfhound. It was larger, more heavily muscled, and it was a combat and hunting dog.
Huh.
So, think...
Wait, they're extinct?
Yeah, they're extinct. Irish Wolfhounds are still in existence, but Irish Warhounds went out. And think effectively. So, you can picture a English Bull Mastiff in its build, right? Everyone knows what an English Bull Mastiff looks like, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, no?
Yep.
So, picture an Irish Wolfhound with the build of an English Bull Mastiff.
Okay.
And that's functionally what an Irish Warhound was. So, massively muscled, absolute monsters of dogs.
Nice.
And I saw the talk of vaccines in chat as well. I understand the issues that some people have with them. I get annoyed with a lot of the arguments that I've heard about people being against the vaccines because there's a bunch of them that I'm going, that isn't a thing.
Well, and it was more of a they made a very generalized statement yesterday, and apparently Maniac Man thought it was more directed at him. I don't think they were intentionally directing it at him. It was more of they said they kind of painted a broad stroke with something, and
Yeah.
it was just poor wording type of situation. I don't think they actually meant to direct any of that at him or
They kind of overgeneralized.
people who are just concerned with the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they,
I would say the safe bet is if you're an adult, you can make that choice on your own. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you consult your own doctor.
Yep.
But otherwise, whether or not
Kefki.
you
Sorry.
take somebody's word on it, that's on you. That's whether you want to take the vaccination or not. That's your choice.
for
But
me,
at
Okay.
that same end, don't sit there and try and lambast somebody, especially here in the zoo. Come on, man, we're all supposed to be pals here. You don't want to lambast somebody because of their choice. That's their personal choice. Leave
And-
them on their own.
to me, my stance has been and will continue to be that, yep, consult your doctor. It's one thing if you don't want to get the shot because you're afraid of needles. Okay, yeah, that I can't argue against that. There's no problem with that argument. It's still something that you should consider, and if you decide, no, it's not worth it because I'm that scared of needles, okay. It's another thing if you're saying that I don't want to get the shot because it's going to alter my DNA. No, it is not.
Okay,
That's
listen,
like saying,
if it did do that, the furries would be all on it already.
and that's like saying that, I've used this example a number of times before. It's like saying that you don't want to fly because you're terrified that the nuclear engine on the plane is going to go Chernobyl while you're in air.
But it might. You never know.
There is no nuclear engine.
Yeah, I
It
know.
does not happen. It
Well,
cannot happen.
at the same end, there are people who won't go through TSA because they don't want their naked body photographed, even though it may or may not happen. Again, it doesn't matter what the reasoning is. Don't sit there and poo-poo these people's. As long as if they're being reasonable, be reasonable right alongside them. You know, that's my thing.
The reasoning matters to the degree of, is it actually something that can be?
Yeah, well, that's an argument that at that point you're trying to engage in a debate. If they're not sitting there doing anything or imposing anything onto you, I don't see a reason why any of this discussion would be feasibly brought up. I mean, like,
because if it's like with anything else, I'm a very firm believer of whether you are for what I'm for or against what I'm for, if your argument for it is a bad argument, I will point out why your argument's bad. I will point out how it should not, or why it should not be used, and how it fails.
Okay,
It doesn't matter if you're for or against what I'm going for. If it's a bad argument, it deserves to be refuted.
And then once you've presented your argument and they still dismiss it, then what? They still have the free will to be able to accept or not accept your argument. And they still have the option to take or not take the vaccination. So at that point,
see, like I said, it's not
like,
me trying to
what
force.
It's
not me trying to force them to do something or not to do something. It's Adam, if someone was saying that they're terrified of meeting you because you're 12 feet tall, would that be a valid reason for them to be afraid of meeting you?
Do they have to inject you being 12 feet tall, or
is that a valid reason for them to be afraid of meeting you? Would they be accurate in their fear of meeting you because you're 12 feet tall?
I don't see the correlation.
You aren't 12 feet tall, are you? So being afraid to meet you because you're 12 feet tall, well, the problem is you aren't 12 feet tall, so that isn't a reason to be afraid to meet you. But if you're afraid to go outside of your house, because the moment that you leave your house will disappear. That is not something that will happen. That is not a reason to be afraid of leaving your house. It's one thing to make a decision based on accurate information. It's another thing to make a decision based on something that is wrong.
But you said accurate information. But that's your accurate information.
No. It's not my accurate information.
Hold on. That's where we find ourselves at the impasse. Is what the information that you're citing to might not jive with, and again, I'm not putting myself into them. This individual that you've concocted, they may not jive with this. But where is it that you should therefore force this person to accept your information and or accept, again, we're talking about a physical
Again,
interaction.
I am not,
It's not a belief in whether or not a penny
I
is
am
made
not
out of
saying
copper
that
or tin, but it's whether or not they want to inject something into their body. And at what point do you sit there and say, okay, I see what you're saying, and I know the truth, but you're not accepting it. Where does it stand that you then are able to say,
Pat,
well, you need to accept this because this is what this is what we're doing.
Adam,
That's what's alarming to me.
Adam, again, what I'm saying is not that I will force someone to get the shot or force them not to get the shot. I'm not saying
then the
either
conversation
of those.
is done. if we're not forcing anybody to do anything, then it's up to everybody's individual choice. And at that point, it doesn't matter what they believe. If they don't choose to take the jab because they believe that goblins are going to come up from the ground once they do it, it doesn't matter. They
By that
chose
point,
not to
Adam,
take that
there's
jab.
no reason to try to discuss anything where there's any disagreement with any person, ever.
We could discuss it with them, but it doesn't.
Well, you won't
It
get
gets
far.
rid of
Yeah.
the entire point of most conversations, effectively.
Yes.
If you're
and that's the sad
surrendering that
truth.
ground, then you're saying, what's the point in talking to people?
Well, no. It's not so much having a discussion, because there might be people who are interested in hearing the opposite discussion, but we're not talking about just having a discussion. We're talking about people injecting shit into their body, and that's where we're having the disagreement.
No, because if
we
that's
can
where we're having
talk
the
about.
if that's where we're having the disagreement, then you're not acknowledging the fact that I'm saying I am not trying to force them to or force them not to get the shot. My entire stance is, if information that someone is saying, whether they're pro or anti, is wrong, I am going to explain why it's wrong.
Okay, and that's literally where it ends. It's we've both discussed, our peaks of our glaciers, and then we're both saying, okay, well,
let's also like call it for what it is too. It's not so much just about it taking vax, because everybody's had some groups of people who had issues with vax. It's the part where there's nowhere in the world where the governments running this shit aren't being shady as fuck.
Oh yeah, and
so
I can acknowledge.
Yeah.
Like I've said, if it's something that there's credence to it, then I can understand why someone's making a decision, because they're going, it seems really sketchy to me. Okay?
But that's not really what I'm getting at. The point is that, like, if every government wasn't doing this all at the same time, most of these anti-vaxxers are like the people who are taking it to the extremes, like, oh, if you take that, you're gonna grow a monkey tail.
The problem that I have is, Sanguine, if I sat down with you and said, I have concerns about the vaccine, you would say, okay, what are your concerns? I've been doing some research. This is what I know. This is what I've studied. You would sit down and explain and address the issue.
Yep.
I say something like that on Twitter. I have concerns about the vaccine. The response isn't, well, what are your concerns? Or, well, you shouldn't be worried because XYZ PDQ, da-da-da-da. It's, well, stop being a child and take the vaccine.
And that's...
It's not... It just puts you on edge, and it puts you on the defensive, because it's how they've run everything else. They call you racist when you don't do what they want to do with black people. They call you sexist if you don't give women everything that they want. They call you transphobic if you don't let trannies play in the sports games.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the problem I have. Like I said, whether someone agrees with me or does not agree with me, in the end result, if their argument is faulty, if what they are saying is wrong, it pisses me off. and
that's
I
the
will
thing,
then
dude.
engage. So if someone says
It
that
doesn't matter if it's
I'm-
faulty or wrong. If those people don't want to take it for whatever reason, if they think that they get the jab and they're gonna fart more,
What if it's just religious reason?
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't
Yes, sir.
matter. Let them fucking not take it. Just like it. That's the whole fucking
No,
point.
because
like, just,
if someone's
why does it
sole
matter?
reason, if someone's sole reason for not doing something is because of something that is not true. So again, let's go for the flying example. If someone's sole reason that they don't want to fly, that they're terrified of flying, is because they're afraid that the nuclear reactor is going to go critical.
Yeah, but
Explaining
right, though.
that is
Again,
not.
it
No, it
goes
is
right
not. Right.
back
It's
into-
not right at all.
No.
Sanguine.
Sanguine. It might not be right, but it's their right to think that.
Yes,
It is-
Whatever they think, whatever they want, do whatever they want. It is.
It is their
as
right.
goofy as it
you
is.
have the right to make a decision, whatever decision you want. You do not have a right to insist that there's a reality that is not reality. Everyone has the right to their opinion. You don't have the right to your own reality.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wait, this is
2
great
plus 2
on
will
Pride
always
Month,
equal
right?
4.
Because that means all of a sudden, holy shit, all this bullshit that everybody's fucking tossing out there. Like, dude, this is exactly what we're fucking saying. It was like this. If it's confined into your own thought process and you're not expressing that outside, it doesn't matter. And at the same end, especially with vaccines, dude, if you take the vaccine, you shouldn't have to worry about anybody outside who doesn't take the fucking vaccine. So at that end, it's like, dude, this is exactly what we're fucking talking about. Like this, it's not so much that we're looking at it like, dude, but we don't want to have to fucking adhere to this. It's why are you pushing it this hard? That's where the question comes from. Why is there a push for this? If you guys are happy to take your vaccine and you want to take it and you feel it's safe and all, cool, awesome, and it's going to cure you, whatever, take it. Why are you pushing it on us?
I'd also really like to ask these people if they've always taken vaccines, because
no,
here's the thing, I haven't always taken vaccines. I know some people who take
not
them
even
every
the flu
season,
vaccine,
and I know people who take them for certain ones, just because they look into them and are like, yeah, this one looks like it could target me. I'll just to be sure. That doesn't mean that people are anti-vaccine. It just could just be this one doesn't really seem like it's that bad.
That's what I'm saying. If the reasoning behind it is them saying, I don't feel the need to take it because I'm not really in one of the threat groups. I'm not really too worried about it. And I'm afraid of needles. None of those things do I have a problem with them saying. So if they decide that they don't want to take it because of things that actually are, I don't have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's the moment someone says that they don't want to take it because it's going to make all the pigs start flying away, that isn't a reason not to take it, because that isn't something that will happen.
Come on, man. Nobody said anything like that. I mean,
I'm using an absurd example in order to...
The fact of the matter is, Sanguine, once you've addressed that incorrect assumption, so actually it's this, and they still choose to be like, well, yeah, but I still think it's B, even though you're saying it's A.
Dude, this is.
Are you gonna sit there? Are you gonna sit there and waste your time sitting there trying to convince a person, hey, no, it's definitely this because you're incorrect because this, and this, or you just gonna be like, okay, whatever.
Someone has an incorrect idea, that something will happen. So, in order to go for something that is not this hot button of a example, if a person and I are both trying to decide whether we're going to get the same item, let's say it's 2 packets of pick a product, 2 packets of candy bars, and each packet of candy bar is $2.
Mhm.
And they say, well, I'm not going to get that. That's $5. I would absolutely go, it's not $5. One's $2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. It's $4. And if they go, oh yeah, I'm still not going to get it, I have no problem with that. That's a decision. But it's whether or not the decision is made due to something that is actually true. Deciding not to buy 2 candy bars because they're $5 when they cost $4 is not a reason not to get the candy bars. Deciding not to get the candy bars because it's not really worth the $4. That's perfectly fine. That's a reason not to get the candy bars.
Yeah, that's a reasonable spot, but not everybody is reasonable. You can't expect them to be reasonable.
Well, I
There's
mean,
people out there who's going to make stupid decisions, even if you think it's stupid. It's just the way it is.
And like I said, I'm not saying that their decision has to go the way that I want, which is why I keep saying whether they agree with me at the end result or disagree with me at the end result.
Yeah.
If their reasoning is faulty, someone could agree with me that the 2 candy bars are a really good idea at that moment, and they could be saying, yeah, I'm absolutely going to get those candy bars because it's only $3. No, it isn't. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. They're $4, not $3.
Sanguine, hold on. Let me try it.
But that's the thing.
Let me try and
yourself
understand.
up trying to be logical with a person who is apparently being illogical.
Well, not only that, but
not
just,
illogical, uninformed.
You're trying to impose your mentality on other people. Hold on. So you have issue if somebody decided not to take the vaccination because they believe that it might alter their DNA. Why does that bother you?
Because
hold on. No. It doesn't matter. If that person doesn't if that person doesn't take the vaccination and you take the vaccination, nothing changes.
Because I believe that the
hold on. And that person is not somebody who's going out to the public and espousing you shouldn't take the vaccination because XYZ. Like this, it has no effect on you whatsoever. Like personally, I'm not going to take the vaccination, and I have my personal reasons, and I'm not going to say my personal reasons because apparently it might affect you. I mean, like this is what I'm gathering from this. My decision not to take the vaccination, whether or not I discussed it with my personal doctor, and gone over the ups and downs of it. It somehow has an effect on somebody who you've taken. I think you've taken your second vaccination, right? Okay, so there you go. So that's the issue. Like there should not be this much.
Again, you're focusing on this just being the vaccination. This is not something that I have with just the vaccination.
Yeah,
this is with everything. I am a firm believer of the fewer false things, the better.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, hold on. But
so
we're discussing this.
No, I'm talking about
incident.
Everything.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
he's more generalized.
just this. I am saying in any situation, it does not matter the situation. It could be the vaccination. It could be flying on a plane. It could be buying fucking candy bars.
Yeah. Well, the thing,
the fewer false things, the better. If something is false, then I will point out that it's false. I will explain why it's false. Because it is false. And if I can get rid of that false belief, it is better than if that false belief is maintained.
Yeah. But I'm saying what seems reasonable to you might not seem unreasonable to somebody else. Because, reason can be somewhat subjective.
Again, everyone has the right to an opinion. I have no problem with someone having an opinion. People do not have
you
a
must
right
be driven
to their own
nuts
reality.
by ideologues, though.
I am. That's why I do the rants that I do. That's why I say the things that I say. That's the reason why I have the problems with the people that I have the problems
Do you
with.
know what I came to the conclusion of with ideologues a long ass time ago? Once I realized that somebody's position is not being logical, it is ideological instead, I pretty much give up. Yeah. Because they're not going to see reason, no matter how many times I sit there and slap them upside the head with it. It's not going to be a reasonable discussion. And I'm just going to waste my very limited emotional and mental energies on something that's pointless.
See, I have a different mentality in that, because if it was just one-on-one and it was in private, then yes, I would agree with you. The moment that I realize someone is not arguing honestly, then there's no point in continuing the argument. If it is not a one-on-one, if it is not just in a vacuum where it isn't in front of anyone else, then I'm willing to explain, no, this is wrong because of X, Y, and Z and the other. Yeah. Because it is not so much to convince that person as it is to render a better argument than they are. Because if they're saying that they aren't going to fly because of the nuclear reactor, and no one goes, that isn't true. There's no nuclear reactor on planes. This is the way that a jet engine works. This is how a jet is powered. There's no reactor. Then them constantly saying they're not going to fly because of the nuclear reactor is something that could catch on and more people could start believing, oh my God, did you know that there's nuclear reactors in jet planes?
I mean, it'd be cool. But, you know.
So the act of refuting something that is false is not an empty act to me.
I would say you refuted it already. You pointed it out, and they're still refusing, therefore slamming your head against that wall. You've already pointed out how it's wrong. You've already pointed out it's incorrect. They refuse to believe it, then, like I said, if it really depends on who you're arguing with, because idiots on Twitter don't count as anybody of authority who's going to spread anything to any, at least not to any.
Oh, no, idiots are the ones who absolutely spread things.
No, idiots on like Twitter, for example, don't represent the majority and don't represent people who have any opinions of any importance, honestly.
No, for that you need to have control of the media, and if you want to see a study of that, look at my country.
Hold on. You're not. I'm hoping you two aren't talking about the discussion we just had. I would hope that you had at least enough decorum to not describe our recent chat, especially live, that it was
show us your nudes, Adam.
Wow.
Adam, again, you're trying to laser focus in on one thing.
What is that one thing, sir?
You're trying to laser focus in on taking the vaccination or not taking the vaccination.
No, I did not say anything about a vaccination. I'm just asking, is this entire discussion that we just had, because I don't even know how the pivot to the vaccination, that was kind of odd to me myself, but to describe the entire discussion in such a way is alarming.
The entire discussion was, I started off by saying that whether someone agrees with me or disagrees with me, if they're using a faulty argument, I point out the argument, and then I give the counter argument.
Yeah.
That was the start, the genesis of this entire thing. As an example, I gave...
Hold on, could you repeat that?
if someone, whether they agree with me or disagree with me, at the end, so whether it's yes or no at the very end of the argument, and if I'm yes, they say yes or no, either way, if the reason why they reach that point is faulty, the argument that they use is faulty, I will give the counter argument to that. I will demonstrate that argument, or I will demonstrate to the best of my ability that argument is not a valid argument. Yeah. The examples that I gave thereof were, in order of the examples, the nuclear reactor on a jet plane, the genetic modification in a vaccination, the not buying a candy bar or buying a candy bar because the total was wrong. Then back to nuclear reactor on a jet plane. These were different examples, each where the reason why someone was or was not doing something was based on a argument or reasoning that was not true.
Yeah, but you always want to have that with everything, regardless what it is, because you can't save people from stupidity. So.
No, but you certainly as hell can't save them from ignorance by
that's
just saying,
to...
well, I'm not going to explain.
Yeah, well, you can talk to them and but at some point you have to go, all right, I'm done. Move on, you know. As long as you're not doing anything that hurts you or anybody else, then I don't see what else you could do or should do.
I guess I went through my phase of arguing with idiots on the internet and even in real life and just hit a certain point where I'm just like,
yeah,
you know, if it's clear to me that you're just nuts, I'm done. I don't have enough energy to go around. I don't have enough spoons, as people would say, to go around. Not a reference to you necessarily useless, but I don't have enough mental capacity to invest in wasting our time arguing with a wall.
Yeah.
And again, I'll say that if I recognize that someone is being intellectually dishonest, then I will tap out. Because once I realize someone is being intellectually dishonest, where they will acknowledge each of the points, they won't argue against any of the points. They'll go, yep, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense, go all the way through the process, and then go, okay,
yeah, but I still think
the nuclear reactor on the jets are still a big problem. After they've agreed that there's no nuclear reactors on the jets, that's when I go, okay, you're being intellectually dishonest, I'm done. If they, in the process of me explaining, there's no nuclear reactor on the jets, here's how I can demonstrate this, they go, well, this doesn't make sense. I will clarify the point that they say doesn't make sense to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
If after that they go, well, okay, yeah, saying that I was worried about the nuclear reactors, that isn't true, but I'm still never going to fly. I don't care that they're never going to fly. My only dog in this hunt was that argument is not true. I'm not saying that they need to fly. I'm not saying that they should never fly. I'm saying that if their argument is valid, then yeah, you make your decision. If your argument is invalid, then that isn't a reason for your decision.
Yeah, well, you did convince Badger, you know, that's something.
Yeah, so I saw that.
And it is about that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was distracted by Blair White.
Wow.
She does that to me sometimes.
I need a smoke, and I
Damn
haven't
her for being
smoked
pretty.
a cigarette in 20 years.
You're distracted by who? What?
Blair White. Sorry, I still
Nothing.
think she's pretty.
Holy shit.
Regardless of whether I
She's
agree with her on
gorgeous.
whether I agree with her on stuff. Every time I see her, I'm like, God damn it, I gotta take notes from you, lady. And yeah, I would like to meet her. I think she seems nice enough.
She's adorable in person. She's actually a really sweet person, but
she comes
She's
across as
tiny.
she
Yeah.
gets a little too caught. Oh God. Oof. I almost put her in my pocket and made off with her. I could have probably taken her boyfriend in a fight too, because he's a skinny thing too. But
The only person tinier that we met that weekend was June.
yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, fucking Lauren Chen gave her a run for her money. Like
Lauren
she
Chen
was
was tiny,
itty bitty
but-
too.
June was by far the most. You're just a pocket-sized person, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, isn't
Go ahead.
Lauren Chen like 5'6" or 5'8" or something?
She was a little taller than both of them. Like I have photos of me standing next to Blair and Theron Meyer. Like,
Yep.
Well,
Well,
Blair's a
I'm-
tall person, isn't she? Like,
no,
isn't she-
Blair's short.
She's like 5'3" at most.
Yeah, Blair's
Wait,
short.
for real? Well, I don't
Blair's
know.
short,
When I saw her,
June's
she was
short
sitting down, so I don't
fuck.
know.
Theron is average height.
Theron's like 5'6", 5'7". So she's taller, but she's, I'm the one standing up here at 6'1", and they're looking
Yeah.
up at me going, "Oh, hi." That's why Blair, whenever I pop into one of her chats and like super chat her on one of her streams,
You're
she'll
tall.
recognize me and go, "Oh, you were the tall redhead from Methodist Milwaukee." And I was like,
Oh, that's
"Yes, yes,
awesome.
you remember
Yep.
me."
That
It's
just
kind of hard
reminded
to
me.
get a tall redhead, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That just reminded me of when we were both recognized.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
That was funny.
But
It is about that time. Shall we go
Yep.
around the horn?
Sure.
Jen, you want to go first?
Well, I was just sitting to myself thinking that if this lottery draw that I entered into for getting the jab wins me some money, maybe next year when we're no longer on lockdown, I'll come and visit the U.S. somewhere. Be like, all right, I'll let you guys pick.
That should be fun.
Useless?
Man, have fun. Because what's the point of living and having fun? And
Right.
check out my videos. The next one should be maple sausage gravy with and biscuits. So
Nice. Adam?
Sounds like a Canadian breakfast, but it's maybe because I'm thinking about Mabel. You know me, I'm always thankful for letting me on.
Always fun.
Eve, pleasant surprise. I'm glad I got to chat with you again. This has been it's been a long time coming, and hopefully it's there's not a lot of time between that we get to hang out and chat again. I always love chatting with you.
Me too.
But for the rest, as I always say, I love y'all and God bless you.
Eve?
Happy, come here. Come here. She's like, "What, Mom? I'm asleep. Come here." Fine. I'll just say it for her because she's not going to come over here and say
Yep.
it. Final words are, "Fuck bitches, get money."
Nice. And I'll leave off with my standard. If you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And just in case Jacob's floating around, that means don't be a Sonic fan. With that, have a good night, all.
I'm going
This
to beat
is
you,
close.
bitch.
What? I'm a Sonic fan, dude. Get out of here.
Bro.